Hey, Beanie Blessings. Welcome to Work of Art Wednesday, hosted by me, Deadpan Lisa the Beanie God, with my co-host and tech director, Danny Gomez. We meet every last Wednesday of the month here on Zoom. It's a free outlet, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come by, hang out, share space, meditate, and we love hearing your storytelling and creating. In our first artist tonight, hailing from Toronto, a dear friend of mine, please welcome the very funny and brilliant Jeff Cottrell.
Okay, I'm still deciding what to read. I'm just looking over like a recent homework stories I've done and seeing what's a really, really funny one or really good one. Uh, true. Oh, this one. Okay, I'll do this one. So for this one, the prompt for the homework was the Sweet Sweet Revenge Corporation had just opened its doors, and I was putting in my application. So I came up with this. I just called it the Sweet Sweet Revenge. The Sweet Sweet Revenge Corporation had just opened its doors, and I was putting in my application. The online ad was vague. Jobs, 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 it read. No experience or expertise necessary, followed by an email address. Of course, I was intrigued. I'd been working underground as a hitman for more than 20 years, and since the recently elected Pierre Poilievre government, Poilievre is kind of Canada's wannabe Trump, by the way, the recently elected Pierre Poilievre government had legalized vengeance-motivated murder, the career opportunities in Canada had soared beyond belief. With my experience and knowledge of the art of assassination, I should have been a shoo-in for this company. So I wasn't surprised when I got a call for an interview with someone named Charlie Guns Spatsky. I booked the time, washed my pinstripe suit and fedora hat, and had my girlfriend Candy interview me in practice, asking such common questions as, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your biggest strengths and weaknesses? And where's your favorite place to dispose of a mole's severed head? Soon I was ready. The headquarters of the Sweet Sweet Revenge Corporation looked much different from what I'd expected. More clean and colorful, for sure. Even the company logo was a pretty, effeminate, handwritten swirl of the company name in pink, with an old lady's smiling face peeking out of the first O in corporation. It looked odd to me, but I shrugged and waited to be called in. Soon the receptionist led me to a small office with bright pink and blue walls to meet with Charlie Guns Spatsky. The room contained a long table and 2 chairs, and in the corner sat a tall cart with a TV set on the top shelf and a connected VCR on a lower shelf, just as you'd find in a standard 1980s or 90s classroom. I sat down and waited. A minute later, a frail-looking elderly woman in glasses, a wool sweater, and a modest dress entered the room. Yes, I said. The old lady smiled and said my name. I'm Charlotte Spatsky, she added, but you can call me Guns. I shook her hand, trying to be polite, but couldn't hide my bewilderment. Why, why do they call you Guns? I asked. She smiled and blushed a little. Because they tell me I'm very handy with the gun, she answered. It's kind of my thing. Okay. Guns Spatsky sat down on the other side and pulled a printed copy of my application out of a folder on the table. So, she said, the first question I'd like to ask you is, do you like delivering desserts? Just desserts? I nodded with enthusiasm. Absolutely. I've been delivering just desserts for 20 years. The lady looked impressed. That's lovely, she said. Now, how do you think these deliveries should be served? Are they best served warm or cold? Oh, cold for sure. I specialize in delivering them cold. Guns smiled again. That's just lovely. We specialize in cold as well. Excellent. Well, said Guns, looking over my application, it looks as though you would be a perfect match for our organization. But before we make any final decisions, I'd like you to watch a short introductory video to get to know a little about our company. Sure? Guns nodded. She stood up and moved the TV VCR cart around to face me. Then she turned on the TV and VCR and pressed play on the latter. The company logo appeared on the screen as 1980s style synthesizer music played on the soundtrack. Then the video showed a montage of very happy looking people in 1980s style clothes and hairstyles, all eating cakes. There were also people in uniforms baking and decorating the same style of cakes. Since 1921, intoned a friendly, deep-voiced male narrator, customers across Canada have loved the specialty dessert cakes we make at Sweet Sweet Revenge Corporation. What the fuck? I thought as my heart sank. That's right, the narrator continued. That's more than 60 years of baking success, 6 decades and counting that we've been creating our famous Sweet Sweet Revenge. The video cut to a static shot of an enormous chocolate cake with fruit and sprinkles on top, and a 1980s style title superimposed upon it read, The Sweet Sweet Revenge. I sighed aloud. Guns gave me an odd look. This is one of Canada's best loved cake products, said the narrator. Best served chilled and always made with the finest ingredients and crafted with loving care by our team of baking and decorating experts. During the last part of that statement, the video showed a smiling 30-ish woman with an enormous brunette perm and shoulder pads, who was decorating a sweet, sweet revenge cake with an icing gun. Something looked familiar about the woman, and I looked closer. Oh my God, I gasped, turning to Guns. That's you! Guns smiled modestly and nodded. I looked back at her image in the video, and I had to admit she was very skilled with that icing gun. But, I asked, why would they call the cake the Sweet Sweet Revenge? Be patient, said Guns. The video explains everything. The video then cut to an old, faded black and white photograph of a homely looking woman with a long, stern face. The Sweet Sweet Revenge was the brainchild of a woman named Christina Magdalena Refanjowski, who immigrated to Canada from Poland just after the First World War, explained the narrator. Before setting up her first bakery in Stony Creek, Ontario in 1919, Christina shortened her surname to Revenge in order to sound less European, and her delicious new cake became her namesake. The Sweet Sweet Revenge Corporation hit its peak in the early 1960s, when the beloved American comedy duo Brick and Dummerton were the company's official mascots, the narrator went on, as the video cut to an old clip of Brick and Dummerton holding up Sweet Sweet Revenge cakes. Enjoy delicious Sweet Sweet Revenge cakes, Canada, said Brick, who added in an inept French accent, Savourez de délicieux gâteaux, Sweet Sweet Revenge, Canada. Hey, Brick, shouted Dummerton, who then shoved a cake into Brick's face. Ha ha, laughed Dummerton. Pie in the face! You got a pie in the face, Brick! It's a cake, not a pie, you moron, barked Brick, who began chasing Dummerton while waving his fists in the air. The video ended in contrived self-congratulation for the company amidst a montage of happy cake eaters and sentimental music. Then Guns pressed stop on the VCR and asked me, So, what do you think? Are you ready to join the Sweet Sweet Revenge team? I stood up. Look, I explained, no offense, your company seems really nice, but I don't think I'm a fit for you after all. I'm a professional assassin. I don't do cakes. I see, said Guns, as she looked down at my application again, and a curious smile spread across her face. A devious, mean little smile. And this is your correct name, isn't it? She asked, pointing to my name on the application. Yes, it is, I answered. I thought so, she said, and she pulled a 44 Magnum out of her wool sweater and shot me in the right kneecap. I screamed, fell on the floor, and gaped at the blood streaming out of my leg. What the fuck? I gasped in extreme pain. That's for my husband, Bill, said Guns. You murdered him in 2007, didn't you? They told me it was somebody by your name. Bill Spassky? I said, cringing in agony while trying to remember. Sounds familiar. But it was just a job, lady. Nothing personal. Well, don't take this personally, dickhead, she snapped, and she shot me in the chest. As I lay dying, a 40-something man entered the room, saw me writhing on the floor, and smiled. You got him, Mom? Sure did, Jeremy, she told him. Your father is avenged, and legally. That's what I call a sweet, sweet revenge. As I began to lose consciousness, the last thing I heard was this exchange of words between Guns and Jeremy. Shall I make a celebratory cake, Jeremy? Nah, I've got a better idea. Let's go get some shawarma. And the last line is kind of an inside joke. I end a lot of my homework stories with somebody saying, let's go get some shawarma. This became a weird little running joke I do for that class. So that's the sweet, sweet revenge.
Oh, it's very clever and funny as always. Thank you, Jeff. You know,
Cheers.
you'll get to this episode, and it's one of my favorite episodes. In Curb Your Enthusiasm, like many seasons in, like 7 or 8. But there is a episode where Larry is called a professional social assassin. Yeah, it's very funny. It's probably my favorite episode, actually, but I won't spoil it for anyone, but I highly recommend it. And we
Cool. Looking forward to it.
thank you so much for your storytelling, and for being here, and for always sharing space with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share tonight?
Oh, probably. We could do a rotation if you want. Like you want to share something and then back to me.
I guess, do you want to read anything, Danny?
I'm okay. I just came off a show. I literally just want to see art. Like I don't want to do any art right now.
I hear it. No, I get that. We need breaks
Yeah,
in order to then
cool.
respect our
Yeah.
art and respect each other's art.
So, yeah. So if you
Um,
want to read something and then I could go again and then you could go again. Is that
I'll read. I'll read and then you can read one more time and
sure?
then we'll do the beanie blessing and we'll call it.
Ooh, Ethan.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get a little music. Hey, Ethan Mackler.
Alright, awesome.
Actually, you know what? I'll see if Ethan wants to play first. If not, I'll read something.
Hi, Ethan.
Hi, Ethan. Beanie blessings. You hear us? Hey, we match. How are you?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay.
Good. I'm so happy you're here, Beanie Blessings. If you're ready, do you want to perform or would you like someone else to go?
Has anyone else gone yet?
Jeff went, and then I was gonna go, but if you want to go first, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I can. I can go.
All right, so we're gonna please welcome from Massachusetts. He regularly attends this mic, and he's a wonderful musician and poet, and he's my beanie brother. Please welcome the fabulous bassist, Ethan Mackler. We love a little jam session with Ethan Mackler when he's present. Thank you, Ethan. Always appreciate you. What do you have going on up in Massachusetts with the Garage Poets?
Well, Monday we had the Controverse open mic at Urban Media Arts, which is local access station, and our feature was Generalissimo Brian Franco.
Okay.
And I've seen him for years online, so to see him in person is quite a trip. He came
Yeah,
down from Maine, so
I've met Brian a couple times in person, and it is an experience to say the least. But yes, yeah. Yes, but thank you, Ethan. And yes, check out Garage Poets. And what was the other name of the mic?
Contro-verse.
Yes, check out what he's doing. We love Jeff Taylor. Miss Jeff Taylor. If you're watching this, Jeff, come through on Wednesdays. We'd love to see you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna read something, and then if Jeff and Ethan wanna go again, we will, and then we'll do the beanie blessing, and my allergies will be happy that I'm not talking anymore. So yeah. I have a friend that for spooky season, every day she's been doing spooky season like writing prompts. So I've been just writing to them every day. I love a prompt. People know that about me. So this is one I wrote recently. The I don't remember the exact prompt she gave, but it is horror related. So here we go. I've worn sunburns for 3 decades, a vampire who wears horror. Sucks on desserts in deserts instead of tainted blood. I let myself feel pain in order to move through the growing pains. And yours. I challenge myself so I can move away from the madness, unafraid to tell anyone to fuck off. And if you figure out what FO stands for, we can see each other. And I will not cut you out like an unnecessary organ. I've had the links swing and miss. It happens. For reasons I do not care to direct or dissect. I know purity exists. I've seen a petal fall off a white rose. Not perfection. I do not purr with envy or glaze over streams within 1 year. Authentically, almost normal. Like green and gold waves. A lucky boy. And I just remembered the prompt was purring that she gave. And I'm sorry that wasn't read the best way, but I'm not feeling great. But yes, that was some free verse I wrote for spooky season. So thank you for letting me share it. I wish I felt better. Sorry, guys. All right. It's like even more deadpan than deadpan. Like you didn't think you could get more deadpan, but when you have like shitty allergies, you can actually get more deadpan. I'm giving Bob Newhart a run for his money, which isn't a lot these days, given he passed away recently. So, and I was very sorry to hear that. I loved him. Yeah. All right. Jeff, if you want to go again, you can, and then if Ethan wants to go again, you can.
Sure. Here's another homework story from the writing group. And this one's set in New York, actually. So if you want to feel at home, so I set this one in New York, and you can lecture me afterwards on how I got New York totally wrong. The prompt was, I think it was spectacular failure. So I just called it the failure. You're a spectacular failure, Jody said to Cal. That's why this show is perfect for you. It was their first time visiting New York, and by extension, their first time at a legit Broadway show. Cal waited for Jody to finish her cigarettes before they went into the theater. She'd been in a rotten mood since the night before. He stared at all the lights blaring from Times Square, marveled at the crowds of people surrounding the two of them, and cringed at the smell of the nearby hot dog vendors. He'd never seen or heard anything like it. It should have been so exciting, this trip, but Jody seemed determined to ruin it all. What do you mean? Asked Cal. Jody took another puff. You're a spectacular failure, she explained, because you booked such a shitty hotel for us in a shitty Bronx neighborhood, and you couldn't even be bothered to get us a taxi there from the airport. You insisted on taking the subway to save money. You're a spectacular failure because you waited too long to get tickets to the Statue of Liberty crown. You should know you have to book months in advance. You're a spectacular failure because you blew our chance to see a live Colbert taping. You had to have that fucking backpack with you, and they don't allow backpacks. But most of all, you're a spectacular failure because you haven't given me an orgasm for a year. But you know I only like missionary, whined Cal. Jody rolled her eyes. But what I meant, he added, is why is this show perfect for me? She laughed with biting contempt. Dude, didn't you even see the title? Cal looked up at the marquee of the theater. Failure, read the name of the show in a familiar white cursive style on a bright red background. Underneath ran the subtitle in smaller capital letters. A musical journey through the New Coke fiasco. See what I mean? Said Jody, dropping her smoke on the sidewalk and crushing it with her shoe. This is a spectacle about a failure, a spectacular failure, just like you. That's why I picked it. You are, without a doubt, the new Coke of boyfriends. She took her phone out of her purse and called up the e-tickets she just bought, and they went inside the theater and got their seats. Cal skimmed through the playbill program. Huh, he said. Hugh Jackman's in this. Pause. And Frances McDormand? Cool. Jody groaned and shot Cal a look that seemed to scream, shut the fuck up, Adam. So why am I the new Coke of boyfriends anyway? He asked. Like, why not the Heaven's Gate or the Titanic or the Toronto Maple Leafs? Why so specific? Because, she said, you used to be great. Thank you. Used to be, dumbass. We were happy, but then you weren't satisfied and you got insecure and you had to go and make all those changes. What changes? Quitting a decent job for one that pays a lot more, but that you hate, buying all those expensive new clothes you didn't need, changing your hairstyle to something you thought was more hip, even though it doesn't suit you, reading all those stupid self-improvement books, wasting all that time helping out at the soup kitchen. You changed into a different person. A better person. I don't care, Cal. I wouldn't care if you changed into Mother Teresa inhabiting the body of a young Burt Reynolds. You're not you anymore. Things were fine until you wrecked it. There was a long pause as the seats in the theater filled up and the noise of the audience picked up. Cal sighed. I really don't feel like a musical right now, he told Jody. Are you sure you're up for this? We could go and get some Schwartz. Shut up, it's starting, she hissed. The house lights dimmed and the audience chatter died down quickly. Then the curtain rose to reveal a 1985-style corporate boardroom with a giant Coca-Cola logo on the back wall. The orchestra exploded into an overture as a group of yuppie executives, led by Hugh Jackman, danced onto the stage. The audience applauded wildly as soon as they recognized Jackman. It's a crisis, sang Jackman. It's a crisis, echoed the chorus of yuppies as they executed the most athletic spins and leaps and cartwheels that Cal had ever seen. Our sales are down and Pepsi's taken over, sang Jackman. What we need is some kind of four-leaf clover. It's a crisis. It's a crisis, sang the chorus as they kept on dancing. It's 1985 and we all love Madonna, but when the calling wars is all I really wanna do with my life as the president of Coke. And another thing, whispered Jody to Cal, you snore now. Shh, said Cal. You never used to snore, Jody went on. Then you started to snore. How does a person just become a snorer all of a sudden? Is there some kind of specific explanation for that? I don't know. Can't we just watch the show now that we're here? The next sequence was a long, elaborate technical marvel as a huge chorus of dancers dressed up as Coke and Pepsi bottles, complete with the accurate 80s logos, engaged in a brutal war battle on stage, presumably a metaphor for the Cola Wars. It was a spectacular mishmash of music, deafening sound effects, fake blood, and choreography worthy of Jerome Robbins. After wild audience applause, the musical settled into a quieter number in which Jackman's character went to bed and was visited in a dream by Frances McDormand as the fairy godmother of marketing strategy. Look, McDormand sang, pointing her magic wand, really a wooden pointer, to a backdrop showing an enormous new Coke can. It's sweeter, it's rounder, it's bolder, it's bound to be the idea that brings Coca-Cola back to town there. New Coke, sang Jackman, holding the note for close to a minute as a divine light shone on the backdrop and a flock of doves flew from behind it. Tacky, said Jody, all gloss and no substance. Just like you. Quiet, whispered Cal. Can't bear to hear the truth, huh, Cal? Is the truth too tough for you? Shh, hissed a few other audience members at Jody. Oh, shut the fuck up, Jody snapped at them. Then back to Cal. And you need to shave off that silly beard. You look like a moron, and it's a huge turnoff. That was when an usher approached the pair and asked them to leave. Cal and Jody stumbled out of the theater, just in time to miss the famous show-stopping number, Taste Test. Well, said Jody, lighting a cigarette as they stood back out on the street, I hope you learned something from that, Cal. Cal looked at her and sighed. Yeah, he said. I think you're right. I need to change back to who I was before. Damn straight. I miss the old you. He looked straight into her eyes. You don't understand, he said. I mean, before you. Huh? We're breaking up, said Cal. I want everything to go back to the way it was before I met you. I had a lot more confidence and independence then. Huh? Jody stared at him, her mouth open. And I'm going back to the way I used to be, for better or for worse. Cal smiled and looked out at Times Square as if it were beckoning him to a promised land. The new Cal is dead. I'm going to introduce the world to Cal Classic. Huh? Repeated Jody. Don't expect me back at the hotel tonight, honey. I'll find a hostel or something. Cal marched off towards the 42nd Street subway station, and Jody called after him, Wait, so we're not going to see the Brick and Dummerton taping tomorrow? There was no answer. Cal was gone. Well, mumbled Jody to herself, I was sick of missionary anyway. So that was called The Failure. I don't know if I should have explained the context of New Coke. Are you familiar with the New Coke story? Pretty much? Okay, yeah. Because I read that at a few Zoom open mics, and people were like, did that actually happen? They'd never heard of it.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it. That was pretty, no, I mean, that was a New York accuracy as someone who's lived here
Good.
their entire life. Yeah.
Good.
I mean, New York is your experience. I hate when people are like, oh, like it actually really bothers me when people are like, you're not a New Yorker until you've lived here for 10 years. I'm like, if
Hmm.
you're putting in the time here and paying rent, you're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like whatever city you're in, it doesn't like whether it's London or San Francisco or Toronto or Boston,
Mhm.
you're paying the rent, you're doing the work, you're making the effort for like at least I would say like at least a month or two. You're you're a citizen of that city.
I
Anything
like to imagine, yeah, I like to think of myself as an honorary Londoner because I visited London so much. I sometimes think of it as a second home. And I've never even lived there, but
I would like to see London.
it's great. I'm going to
And then
be
I
back in.
recognize, I'm sorry, what?
So I'm going to be back there in a month.
Yes, Jeff tours every year in the UK, and he can, if you want to talk about it, you can.
Yeah, if you have any friends in the UK or Ireland, I'm doing a tour there soon. I've got gigs in London, Leeds, Scotland, and Cork, Ireland. Yeah, I'm going to be kind of all over. Um, yeah, and looking forward to it. It's a great place to visit. I always, always have a great time. And I love the audiences. The poetry audiences there are great.
Yeah.
They have a great sense of humor. They totally get irony instinctively. And yeah, I always look forward to it.
Yeah, I would love to perform overseas. I think it would be a much safer environment for me. I'll get to
Probably.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
In some ways, yeah, yeah.
In many ways, I haven't really performed live in person in New York in the last year due to safety. So yeah, thanks, New
Right.
York,
I was,
for sucking. Yeah, anyway, but thank you, Jeff. I recognize two of the characters in that story.
oh, the Brick and Dummerton. Yeah, yeah. Another running joke.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. If you're watching the UK, go meet Jeff, buy his books, listen to his poetry. He's a fun guy to hang out with. It's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you. I'll keep you updated on Star Wars.
All right. Yeah. I'll keep you updated on Curb.
Thank you. Yes, please do. All right, Ethan, do you want to perform again?
Well, I wanted to ask you if you would be up for doing a collaboration here.
Like read and you'll underscore me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, unless it's too early, but we can. Do you want to underscore me doing the Beanie Blessing?
I'd rather do another piece
Here, I'll do
than
another.
yours. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like a favorite piece of mine or one that stands out to you?
Can't think of one in particular right now. I mean,
It's okay.
whatever you'd like.
No, it's okay. I'm being like kind of narcissistic when I say that, to be fair. Hmm. I don't have one. I sent this to a friend the other day. Um, I can find it. I sent this to a friend the other day. It's called Hues of Red because it's the same person that gave the prompt earlier. It had to do with I think red. I think the color was red that she posted about. So it's called Hues of Red, and I'm gonna, even though I don't feel well, I'm gonna prop myself up and do this properly. All right.
Okay, and so I'll begin playing, and I'll cue you in to start.
I mean, yeah, do you want me to send you the poem or does that not matter?
No, it's fine.
Okay, this is cool. I've never had a musician underscore me before, so this is fun. All
Never.
right.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll play for a bit. I'll do something like that.
All right, so you wait, you're cueing me in or I'm starting?
I'll cue you in.
You'll cue me in. Okay. Hues of red floating up in the sky, and the pebbles scattered on the walkways, in the bed sheets, when my eyes are shut. The color of anger, pain, romance and sensuality, death. I I try not to think about that last one. So many emotions in one stanza, a thought-provoking hue, and yet sometimes you cannot bring yourself look at it. Wish it did not exist. The world would be a very different place without it. One I wish to never live in. A positive thought about the color red. My favorite form of it. A long stem rose. Pure and simple. Holding every emotion that exists. Hues of red. Thank you. Oh, that was fun. Thank you. That made me feel better. Oh, thank you,
Really?
Ethan. It did. I mean, I'm still gonna go to sleep feeling coffee and icky, but that made me emotionally feel better. So thank you. Aw, that's fun. There's a first for everything, right? Maybe in person one day we'll actually get to do that.
I maybe Garage Poets may have a show in New York coming up. Actually,
Well, you have to let me know when that happens. Like New York City or like
New
outside?
York City.
Okay. Do you know where yet?
I believe there's a. I was told there's some series called like Hot People Do Poetry or Hot People
I've
Read
never
Poetry
heard
or
of that.
something.
Have you heard of that, Jeff?
Hot people do poetry?
I've
I've
never
never
heard
heard of I've never heard of it, but I hope they pick me.
of it. Am I hot? I don't know if I'm hot enough.
Yes,
Jeff's
you
hot
are.
enough. I don't know if I'm hot enough.
I think you're hot.
Uh-uh. You're hot too, Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
If I still wanted to have sex with men, I would move to Toronto.
Okay. I guess I need a time machine then. Okay.
I mean, I was straight like 10 years ago. I mean, I was telling people I was straight. And then I foreshadowed Carrie Fisher in a bikini, and my brain told me to go the other way. I was
No, I
bisexual for a
could,
while. It was just Bisexual Visibility Week to those that are bisexual. So,
well, Carrie Fisher in a bikini could convert a lot of people, I'm sure.
you know, I mean, I think I'm gay from all the sex with women, but I think when I watch Star Wars, because I'm gonna start watching Star Wars for the first time, soon for work, and I gotta make it through the first two films. It's called one's like Hope, right? One's the New Hope, and then one's the Empire
Well,
Strikes Back, and then
well, yeah,
the
it's the first Star Wars film. It was originally called just Star Wars, but then it was retroactively retitled Episode 4: A New Hope. So pretty much the same thing.
okay, so I gotta watch Star Wars and then Empire Strikes Back, and then the one with her in the bikini, the very famous scene of her and Jabba, as the prisoner in Return of the Jedi. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the third one. Yeah.
I think that will actually confirm if I'm gay or not. Nothing else, like I mean, you know, physical intimacy with women or Carrie Fisher in a bikini. I don't know what's gayer. I don't know. I think we'll know though after I watch the movie. And if I finish the movie, which I probably will. But
Mm.
I'm thinking the first answer solidified it for me 10 years ago, but we're we're
When you
all
said you have to watch it for work, how
yeah,
does
because
that
I'm
work?
gonna be working at a bar that has like Star Wars stuff everywhere. So if I want to be able to like engage with people, because I've actually never watched Star Wars, I really haven't. I only recently got into sci-fi. So it's nothing against Star Wars. I just didn't grow up like with that as a thing. Like someone gave my family like the original trilogy, like when VHS was a thing when I was little, like a box of the trilogy. And like we had the option to watch it. Like no one prevented us, any of us, my siblings or any of my parents to watch it. Just none of us wanted to watch it. And I think like 20 years later, my parents were just donating stuff and just donated the VHS like gold collection, ever it was gold, to whoever they donated VHS tapes to. But like, yeah, it was just not something. It, we were very into sports. Like we're a big sports family. It was just not something. Not that people that play sports can't be into Star Wars, of course they are. But um I just really I wasn't really into sci-fi. And I'm still not really into sci-fi, but I'm appreciating it more till recently because I read a new book that's I guess science fiction fantasy, which is very good. So it started to make an impression on me. But for I feel like if I want to make tips to go to law school at a Star Wars bar, I should probably like be familiar with more
Yeah,
than
you
Carrie
can.
Fisher in a bikini. So
Yeah, you got to get all the references and whatnot. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, I know like from pop culture, I know like what R2D2 is. I know
Mm.
that there's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Princess Leia and Han Solo and lightsabers and like from because it's a very famous franchise. Obviously, I know
Yeah.
from pop culture, but like I don't know
You can learn what Tashi Station is.
that. I don't know.
Ah,
I
well, there you
did.
go.
I did date a woman who. I mean, she's not into Star Wars either, but like her kids must have been, and they named the bunny rabbit Kylo. Which
Oh,
apparently
right.
character in the
Yeah.
movie, but that's like one of the only
Yeah.
references I know.
Well, Kylo Ren's actually from the sequels. He's Adam Driver's character.
Oh, the guy
So,
from Girls. Okay.
yeah.
How
So I
much
guess that's the kids.
how much Star Wars are you looking to watch? Like
I'm
the
watching. I
original.
just watched the three of them because I don't think I have to watch more. I think I can just get away with watching the original three,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I might love it and want to watch. I know there's a Mandalorian show. I know there's a Baby Yoda show. I know there's the
Yeah.
sequels and the prequels and the cartoons and like the whole. I have Disney Plus, so if I want to watch everything Star Wars, I have the ability to watch everything Star Wars. But I think I'm just gonna start with like I have seen. Is it called a prequel? I was talking about Jeff.
The prequels were, yeah, the ones with Natalie Portman. Those were the
Yeah,
prequel.
she played mom, right? She played like Luke Skywalker's mom.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I in middle school we took a bus trip up like to upstate New York, like to Frost Valley, and I guess on the like those coach buses you can, watch a movie and it was like a 5 hour
Yeah.
trip. So
Yeah.
they put the first one with Natalie Portman in because I think it came out the year I was like 11 or 12 and I think it came out that year. they put it on for us, but because like I I'd never seen Star Wars, it's not really something I like. I mean, I respect it. I was probably just bored and like at age 11 and 12 as like a teenage girl, like that's like
Mhm.
really the last thing I'm really thinking about is Star Wars. So that like and like I have social anxiety, so I was probably more anxious to be honest. So I
Mhm.
wasn't really following it and remember not like enjoying it and remember it being very long. Like it was a very
Mhm.
long. Um so I never really look back at it till like yesterday, but I mean, I pay for the Disney Plus and like I'm feeling like shit. So tomorrow I'll just do the work I have to do and then sit down and I'll start watching the original trilogy and like I'm sure I will enjoy parts of it. I might not like fall in love with it. I might, but I will have respect for it either way. Like I know it's like a big, massive like cult thing. So,
Mhm.
I like Indiana Jones though. I know it's the same actor. So like and I did like Carrie Fisher. I love Lost and What I Wore. She's a
Mhm.
very talented. I mean, it's a very talented cast, regardless of the subject matter. And like
Carrie Fisher comes from a theater family.
yeah, Debbie Reynolds was her
Yeah. Yeah.
mother, and
Eddie
Bobby
Fisher.
Fisher was her father. Yeah,
Eddie
very
Fisher.
talented. Very
Bobby.
talented family. There's
Oh.
a really good documentary on HBO actually that came out maybe like a year or two before Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds passed away because they passed away a day of each other. It's
Mhm.
a really good documentary about Carrie Fisher and her life and like her house has a lot of Star Wars stuff in it, but also has a lot of like interesting paraphernalia. And she goes to conventions, like how in later life she made a lot of her money was going to the conventions, like I guess like Comic-Con conventions are where a lot of
Mhm.
people would probably be into Star Wars and stuff. So, um, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a 2 episode docu-series, maybe like an hour each episode. If you just go on like HBO Max and type in like Carrie Fisher documentary, come up, but it's very interesting.
Mhm.
And of course she talks about Star Wars. So, and then the joke is kind of that like her mom also was a big star and her mom died like a day after she did.
Mhm.
So she stole the spotlight from
Mhm.
her. But
Now,
you know,
Crave, the streaming service I just joined, it has a lot of actually has a lot of HBO stuff on it. So I don't
I'm
know.
sure
It
it's
might,
on there. If I
yeah.
don't remember the name of the documentary, but if you Google Carrie, like it was like maybe a year or two before she died. So I don't remember the year she died. I know it was a few
It
years
was
ago.
2016, 20,
Yeah,
the
so it's
year the year everybody was dying.
yeah. So in our country. Um, but it 20, I guess it was like around 2014, maybe it was earlier, it could have been later, but it's
Okay.
an interesting doc. Yeah, if you just type in Carrie Fisher, it'll come up.
Okay.
It's certainly one of the last documentaries she did. So, and I loved her in like When Harry Met Sally. She's a very talented
Yeah.
actress. I know she's more known for more than just Star Wars.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. She's a novelist. She was a novelist too.
Very, yeah, very brilliant writer and artist. I do miss her. She was very, very smart, like very smart.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, so yeah, I'm guessing you have seen Star Wars, Ethan.
Are you? It's like asking like how many times have I sung Happy Birthday, that kind of thing.
Oh, I didn't realize
I
it.
witnessed it in real time.
So
That's
like
Uh,
when
the
it
thing.
first came out, you mean?
well,
What's that?
yeah, when it came out in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah. I never fall. I it was only the up to the third movie. All the new ones I never really got into.
See, that's the thing.
Okay.
Like, I grew up with Harry Potter, right? So, like, I
Mhm.
remember seeing, I think up until the seventh movie, I don't think I've actually seen the seventh movie, but I grew up with all the books and the film. So that was like a thing you went to the theater and everything was sold out and it was a big deal. So I'm sure
Mhm.
like if I had grown up when like the original Star Wars came out, I'm sure I would have gone and seen it because of like the whole global phenomenon of it. I think
Yeah.
it just missed me, you
It was
know.
also, and I mean, I was a kid when it came out, so I didn't really appreciate its place in the
And
pop culture shift. But looking back, when you look at what movies and stuff were before, music and
Yeah, with
And
George
film
Lucas,
and stuff was very serious. It was Vietnam and the moon landing and all of that stuff. And Star Wars was
a break
at
from
least
it.
the first major thing that really made movies like this fun entertainment thing.
Yeah, it was a good break, and like that's his name, right? George Lucas.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's a very smart, very talented director. So I
But he's
always
got a
think
great visual imagination for sure.
it's Steven Spielberg, but it's not. It's George Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Well, Lucas and
friends. They've
Spielberg.
worked a whole lot together.
Yeah, like they collaborated on Indiana Jones, and
Oh, okay. I really do like Indiana Jones.
I love the first one. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
and Last Crusade's good too, although it kind of mimics the Raiders plot.
I don't like Sean Connery. That's another thing. I've really never, I think I've seen one James Bond film.
Mm.
They're just
Yeah,
not
I'm not,
my they're just not my thing. People can like what they like. They're just not my thing.
yeah, I'm not a huge Bond fan either. I do like Goldfinger a lot, just because I love the rhythm of that film.
Oh yeah, it's a
Um,
great song. It's a great song.
but the
Sure.
thing that, oh yeah, the difference I see, like the main difference I see between James Bond and Indiana Jones is that Indiana Jones is very vulnerable. You actually fear he
Yeah,
can he can get hurt.
he's scared of snakes and he's actually
Yeah.
emotional and like he shows what men are not supposed to show, that he's like a real human.
Well, yeah, yeah, and you fear he can die. He comes so close. Whereas James Bond, nothing's gonna happen to him, right? He's just what we dream of being. He's just so suave, and nothing's
I
gonna
don't like
happen.
Sean Connery, which is why I think I'm not interested in watch. I know he's not the only James Bond, but I know he's like the original James Bond.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think that's why I'm not interested in it because I don't like Sean Connery.
And James Bond movies have changed a whole lot. I mean, just a 1960s movie versus a 70s James Bond. Right
Yeah,
there,
I know
that's a
Roger Moore
stark
and
difference.
I know it's Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig, and
Craig.
I
Yeah.
know who the new James Bond is. I know it's not Daniel Craig anymore, but I don't know
Yeah.
whoever the
Well,
next.
Daniel Craig's really proved himself to be a great actor, though.
He's very
I
good.
saw
He's
I
very
saw
good.
his new movie. There's a new movie coming out. I saw it at the Toronto Film Festival a few weeks ago. It's called Queer, and it's
Huh.
based on a lesser known book by William S. Burroughs. And
Queer, like
Daniel,
your name?
yeah,
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's the name of it is Queer, and it's by the director of Call Me by Your Name.
Oh,
And
I didn't like that film.
oh, you didn't? Well,
No.
I wasn't crazy about Queer, but I love Daniel Craig's performance in it.
He's a very good actor. I like him in the like Glass Onion series.
Yeah, those are great. Those are good
Very
movies. Yeah.
good. But there was a funny, the New Yorker does cartoons every day, and there was a funny one the other day, and one was, the famous scene of Indiana Jones when the Bulger is chasing him at the top of the
Yeah.
movie, and he escapes
Yeah.
it. It's him being chased down by the boulder, and then on the other side of the cartoon is Syphilis pushing the boulder up, and Syphilis goes like the little word bubble. Oh, I guess this isn't so bad. Because I guess it's easier to push a boulder up than being squashed by one.
Yeah.
It's just dry humor. It makes me laugh. And yes, I will let you both know, and I talk about it on my Instagram, and I'll let Ethan know on Facebook, my experience with Star Wars.
Okay.
I think I'll
Like,
like, I don't think I'm gonna hate it. Like, I don't think I'm gonna sit there and be like, oh God, this is awful. I think I'll enjoy it. I don't know if I'll be like obsessed with it like most people are, but I think I'll enjoy
yeah.
it overall. Like, it looks like a smart film. I've never been drawn to like wanting to like, invest in it.
I mean, it's like largely a generational thing. Like your generation would think of it as an older classic. It's
Well, a lot
before
of
you were even
people in my
born.
generation are obsessed with Star Wars.
True, but I mean, from their point of view, it's a classic from before their time. Whereas from my point of view, it's actually something from my childhood. So
When it came out, I mean, it wasn't just big. It was enormous.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was like a roller coaster ride.
yeah.
The special effects at the time were it was this. Not only were they fantastic for the time, there's so much of it. It's
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
fast
I know
moving.
it changed a lot of stuff. I know, and like when it came out because of the war and everything. But like
yeah.
I'm sure I will enjoy it, but it might take me a while because I know it's long. So it might take me a while to get through.
Yeah, well, and the second one, Empire Strikes Back, is that scene is the most mature of them.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if
That
you find the first one to be too much of
was that the one she makes out with her brother?
Oh no, that's
Oh, I
well,
know
yes,
there's
but
a
they don't know
scene where
yet.
she
Yeah.
kisses her brother.
yeah, they hadn't decided on the family relationships
That's
by
kind of
that
the
time.
reason I didn't want to watch it. I'm like, is there incest in this movie?
And there's accidental making out between
It's
siblings, but
retroactive.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do they actually
'Cause they,
kiss?
Yeah.
yeah, but they don't know their siblings yet because George Lucas himself didn't know yet. Yeah,
And
he didn't. That was
this is the Mark Hamill character or the Harrison Ford?
Mark Hamill. Yeah, Luke
Mark Hamill
Skywalker.
and Princess Leia are siblings.
Yeah, but that's not revealed until Return of the Jedi. So there are moments in the earlier films where like, yeah, this is a little incesty.
At least it's
Well,
but
when they were
But then,
making Jedi, before Jedi came out, I think Lucas hadn't decided on the relationship. I think
okay,
initially
that's
he was going to
fair.
introduce another character, which was Luke's sister, but they didn't have time. It was too much trouble.
He doesn't seem like someone that would intentionally do that. It's just stories evolve and like shit
yeah.
happens. It's a
Yeah.
TV.
What's interesting, what you're saying about like how it changed everything, because like I love Star Wars, but I don't love what it did to the movie industry. Because before Star Wars, you had the really mature 70s, films that were darker and more adult and stuff. And even the kids' films were a little more adult in a way. And then Star Wars, it was so successful that it kind of infantilized the industry a little bit. So like in the 80s, it was all like adventure sequels and things like that. And the golden age of indie Hollywood kind of died after that. So, but I mean, you can't really blame Star Wars for doing that. You can just admire how it did it.
Okay. Well, I look forward to starting it tomorrow. I'm not gonna do it tonight. I don't feel well.
Okay.
But I'll keep you both posted. Yeah. Like I said, I think I will enjoy it. I don't necessarily think I'm gonna like fall. I mean, I will certainly have respect for it and the artistry of it and what it's done. Uh,
Hmm.
that like I've never had like an issue with it. Like I've never had an issue with sci-fi fantasy. Like it's a great genre. It's just not something I've ever been drawn to. I
Right.
always tell people I'm a jock that loves horror because like the only thing that I've connected to that like kind of goes with that is horror because I read the Goosebumps book going up. I didn't read Stephen
Hmm.
King till recently, but I read like the Goosebumps going up, which is like
Right.
horror. So I do like horror. But anyway, we're at 9 o'clock. We've talked about Star Wars. Star Wars is cool. But I want to thank you both for being here. I want to thank Danny, of course, who's our fabulous co-host and tech director. And maybe you didn't want to listen to us talk about Star Wars, but that's okay. So sorry if you didn't want to listen to Danny. It happens. I'm gonna read the Beanie Blessing. You're more than welcome to underscore me if you want to, Ethan, or I can just read it a cappella. Okay, we're gonna read a cappella. That's cool. All right, but thank you everyone. We do this the last Wednesday of the month. I believe, speaking of horror, I believe our next open mic is the day before Halloween. So it won't interfere with Halloween, but if you want something to do the night before Halloween, come out.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll be in London on the
okay.
30th of October. I
Okay.
could I could theoretically still show up, but it'll be 1 in the morning.
No, you should
So
be asleep.
yeah, yeah. Unless I'm really jet lagged and it'll feel like 8 o'clock. So, but
Enjoy.
I'll very likely be trying to sleep though.
Yeah,
So.
enjoy London. Safe travels. I can't wait to hear about it and see your photos. But yes, we will be here the day before Halloween. I'll of course thank Nick and Ashley and Blended City, our wonderful nonprofit, and Ethan for being here. And yeah, I'll take us out with the Beanie Blessing. All right. We close our time together staring up the same sky, while the sun kisses down on your gentle face. The cotton candy clouds begin to swirl in the early evening. The crescent moon fades as the constellations begin to dance throughout the night. We all look up at the same sky. Thank you for blessing the sky, soil beneath our feet, and our family with your presence and art. Thank you for taking the time to create. Thank you for holding space. May you sneeze out poems in dreamland. May we always have beanies to keep us stylish and warm. This has been a Work of Art Wednesday with Blended City, hosted by myself, Deadpan Lizzie the Beanie God. On behalf of our community, I bid you adieu. Until next time, beanie blessings.
Great. Have a good night.
Thank you guys. Be safe. Have a good night. Thank you, Danny.